Hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. Hi, guys. Can you guys hear me? How you doing? My people, you're welcome. Welcome to Let's Talk with Miss Fee. My name is Felicia. I am your host. I'm excited to be here. Can you guys hear me? I hope my microphone can work today. I hope it's working good. Um, let's pin the link in the comment section. All right, guys. Welcome, 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 welcome. I feel like I've been gone. I have so much going on. Let me see if I'm live everywhere. Hi, guys. How you doing? Welcome to the show. All right, guys. I gotta see if I'm live right now. All right. We are live and ready. We are live and ready. Okay. I was hoping my audio is working, so it is working. So let's go, let's go. Let's share the show. So we're going to Hi guys, welcome to the show. I'm sharing the show right now. I've been gone for a little bit and it's been a tough one. I lost my uncle and he's been on the show in the comment section and he used to contribute to the show a lot. So he's still rest in peace. That was a shocking one. It's still shocking. Um, Still trying to figure it out. It's like, wow. I don't know if you guys, last time we talked on this show, we talk about, whales, setting up your will and things like that. And it just made me start to think like, we really feel like we're all invisible, you know? And you guys, I'm sorry, I'm trying to share the show. I'm so sorry I came on late. I think I got caught up on other stuff and didn't really pay attention. But give me one moment. I'm trying to share the show. I hope you guys can hear me today. Um, I'm setting this thing up. Okay. Okay. Oh, look who show up. Hi. Why is it sitting like this? Can you hear me
Hey,
today?
what's up? What's up?
Please tell me you can hear me today.
Are you getting me?
Yes. Please tell me you can hear me today.
Oh,
Can you hear
I'm
me?
not getting you. I have to change my device.
Can you hear me?
No, the problem is not from you.
Okay. Cause then I was just gonna cancel the whole show business now. Gonna say what's the problem with this thing? Let me set this up real quick. Let's see. Let's see. I'm going to put the link in the comment section real quick. I'm going to put the link.
What's the topic for tonight?
Tonight we're talking. Remember the last topic we didn't get to do, and then everything fell apart. So I thought we just talk about that. I hope we can leave from here within an hour. So 10 o'clock my time, I guess 9 o'clock your time. Yeah,
Okay.
we're watching. I'm gonna share the show
Okay.
quickly so that way we can get started. How have you been?
Okay.
No, I said how have you been? How things been?
Yeah, I see, I'm hanging in. Thank God.
Okay. That's all we can do, right? Hang in there.
Yeah, definitely.
Let me share the show. Yeah, I would like us to. You duplicate yourself. Okay, remove one. Let's see. All right. You can hear me now?
Very loud and clear.
God.
Are you hearing me?
But this thing, I messed with it. I messed with it. I was like, this thing needs to work. Is it StreamYard or is it my device? So,
Are you hearing me?
yes, yes. Very
Okay.
good. Yes. Look at you. You got your microphone all set up too. Okay. Okay. We ready now.
Ready for what?
We're ready to get a volume high. I hope the co-host is ready.
Come on, man.
I
Don't start with me.
hope the co-host is ready for me. I was saying, so today I was like, I don't know why I don't use my laptop. So, but I'm waiting for my other stand to get here so I can connect my other microphone, and then I'll probably start using my laptop instead of the iPad. Maybe that's why I'm having some volume problems here and there. But yeah,
Okay.
I lost my very dear uncle. Like when I think about him, I always I smile because I think he was such a positive person and he was always happy. And I keep listening to. We had a show on here. I think we talk about marriage and divorce. I forgot which one of the segment we had, and he sent me this 10 minute explanation of his side of it. I think he always used to do that with all the segment we had. But that one I came across, I finally sat down. I always listen to it, but I never really sat to complete the whole thing. And this past week, I just went back and listened to all the recordings he sent me. And the last one resonated so well with me. And I'm just like, you know what? I think he lives a very fulfilling life, and I believe that he is with God, and I'm so happy for that. You know,
Yeah,
every short we take it for granted.
that's a good one. I mean, again, have my deepest condolences.
Thank you.
Um, those kind of times are hardest time that we we do not anticipate.
Yeah,
It's one time that we never prepare for. Yeah,
absolutely.
but I pray that the the family that is left behind will stick together. You know, because death is an inevitable messenger.
Yeah, life is one thing. I just think we should all think every day like tomorrow morning you're not gonna be. I know it's such a when people say that all the time. It's literally true. Like you should live, and I feel like some people take that, differently because enjoy, go party, live off the edge and things like that. But when I think about that statement, I'm literally thinking about, you
Yeah.
know, I'm thinking about touch as many lives as you can, be honest, you know, take your walk with God very serious. And
Have they been able to find any, camera in the parking lot and stuff?
no, not yet. Family right now is just focusing on, leading him to rest, and everything else will fall in place. Um, just pray for the family. Just, it's a tough time, and leave now, wife, children, nieces, nephews. It's really sometimes we do know when it's coming, but this one was very like shocking. Still, it's still shocking and it's so traumatizing. I can't imagine what my husband is feeling. Um, I-
Hmm.
like really, for your mom. Um, but
Where's Anna?
Anna is on here, her favorite, but you always ask for her. Hi, Anna, welcome to the show.
The other day I told you to add her to that conversation we were having, and you refused to.
I didn't refuse. I was
Hey,
driving.
Anna.
I was,
Hi guys.
hey, why does it sound like you're driving?
You said what am I want? Sorry. What did you say? I cannot hear you, Felicia.
We cannot hear you, Fee.
No, you're breaking up.
This is not good. How about now?
Okay,
Can you hear
it's
me?
better.
Okay. I'm gonna bring my microphone very close to my mouth. Like, how about now?
You're good.
Okay. All right. My computer is very close to my mouth. I can't move. But we're gonna get started shortly. I want to finish and actually go through this topic because we have set it up. Um, oh, hi, Professor Pro, thank you so much. Thank you. You guys, last week I couldn't really like have a show. We here because I had it was just a mixed weekend last week. My husband had his birthday, and then we have the death. And then I had um somebody else had a wedding. It was just a whole lot going on. It was like one day you're like hitting yourself and you know. It was just a lot going on last week, so I couldn't really be on here. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Anna, you still can I hear me? Can you guys hear me? She said she can hear me. I
I'm
can
hearing you.
bring the microphone closer to my
I don't know about Anna, but she's muted.
Anna, unmute yourself. She said she can't hear me. I don't know if where she's at or
She probably attending to her door.
oh yeah, I heard the kids in the background. It sounds like they're at the park.
Huh?
Hi, the two of you. I am. Gotta come out.
Hi.
Anna,
Can you remove the other one, please? I'm showing up like 3 times. Can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you,
Now.
but
Do you
you
hear
are muted again.
me?
Yes, I muted myself.
Okay, you can hear me now? And I can hear me now.
How come we have a Sunday topic? I thought today is Saturday.
I know I want us to talk about that, but
Huh?
uh,
I
I
cannot hear
wanted to
you. You're
suggest.
breaking up.
I can. Am I breaking up, Jimmy? Or is it from
You're fine now, but you were breaking up. Something is wrong with your mic.
You need to change that mic now. It's been too long.
no, I have another mic. I'm waiting for a stand. It's one of those I think it's called Sure.
Maybe you speak down your thing.
Waiting for it. It's been too long now. Well, the people on this show need to buy me a mic. Let me let me find something that's solicit fun from now. But before the show starts, really quickly, I wanted to let you guys know I have a privilege. I had a privilege to be board member of board. Um, River says, "Pro say I'm breaking up." Oh, yes, hi.
Even me, I just sent you a text that you're breaking up again. Something is wrong with your mic. Like now, we can't hear you. You're talking, but we cannot hear what you're saying.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay, I took the microphone off. It's not breaking up now, right?
it's better.
Okay. River says, "Pro, can you hear me?"
I was
Give me-
asking why we have a Sunday topic on a Saturday. I thought Saturday are supposed to be spicy.
I, I don't have any spicy topic.
I
So
gave you a spicy topic. You didn't
that
answer.
man, that topic has to be after 12 p.m. 12 a.m.
Jimmy, you wanted that topic too, right?
What topic?
The one, the one on the group, the one that Felisa posted, and I said that would be great for the show.
Remember Jimmy Walker was
I, I didn't want to be part of that discussion
You walked away
because
from it because you know you're guilty as charged.
oh my god. You guys,
because you already label me as a poet.
No, I said you used to look like you used to write love songs.
oh my goodness. But it's but I really I messaged in there. None of you guys responded. I said, does anybody have a topic of mine? I haven't really gone through all of the list I have to see which one we've already covered, which one we haven't. So today I'll be on time. I'm like, let's just do this topic and prep more. But before I get started, really quickly, you guys, I want to tell you guys about this amazing initiative that I joined about in January. I'm a board member for the Illustrious Initiative. I will share more with you guys later. But just wanted to tell you, I am looking for 10 volunteers, 10 people to work with me as a volunteer. I'll if people are I'm looking for young people between the age of 17 to 21. Um, thank you so much. Hi, wifey. That's my sister-in-law. Hi, Joyce. Thank you, thank you. But I'll share more with you guys. I'm running a program that is how do I say? So the organization is mostly about um, it's an eco-friendly organization about cleaning up the environment and stuff like that. And I want to run a program about sustainability and eco-friendly like that I'm
Where
working.
is the program?
So it's a nonprofit. We just launched it in January, and the CEO and all of us were working on this project. It's in Liberia and in the US. Let's write this story. I'll share more with you guys, but my 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 part of it, the board member, what I'm working on is more for youth, and it's environmental services part of it where I'm launching a program as my part to do a community service work to clean up and educate people more about the planet. But I'm looking for 7 to 10 youth that will work with me in organizing this event that I'm planning in July. So I will share more with you guys in our group, but I just wanted to put it out there. If you know any youth, they don't have to be with me. I will set up a program, everything, and teach them how to go about it. And that you said that's interesting. Trust supporter are ego friendly. They think climate change is global warming is not fake, okay? First of all, did you guys see, just a side note, did you guys see in Liberia where they had um ice falling? Did you guys see that? Have you come across that video recently? But any but anyways, can you guys hear me still?
I am hearing you.
Okay, okay. But anyway, this program mostly is gonna be a community cleanup program that I'm launching. It's a segment of the organization where promote a more cleaner environment, and I'm going to be working with some of the youth in Liberia as well to set this program up. and things like that. So more to come on that, but just wanted to brief you guys on that. If you know any teenagers that are less busy, who we will have like meetings each month, maybe twice or three times a month, and they will help me to organize the whole program and set up in their community where we can set everything up. I'm putting all the budget together and everything. I just wanted to let you know if you know any teenagers or young adults between the ages of 17 to 21 that may be interested in being working with me as a partner to set that up. But then also I need another 10 group of people that will be willing to join me out in the field when we launch the program and do the I'll give you guys more. I can't really think much, but just want to put it out there. I might be asking you guys for some financial support and things like that when I finally come up with the full program set up. But yeah, thank you, Roberta Sport. But let's jump into tonight. Why do why do most believers shy away from giving generously as instructed by the scripture? That's what we're talking about tonight. Um, Welcome to the show again. You guys don't mind if I can just we can take about a minute, a moment of silence for my uncle, just because he was part of the show and he contributed in the comment section a lot and gave me a lot of ideas when the show was over. I thought it would be great if we can just give a moment of silence for him. Just a minute. Thank you. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right. So let's jump into the topic for discussion. So this topic, I actually watched a video where this gentleman, he actually have a podcast and he mostly talk about finance related to Christian and other faith believers. And he try to teach you about money and things like that. And I came across something he was talking about how if you look at the people that really don't give a lot nowadays are faith believers. Kind of ironic that our faith taught us to be a generous giver. Even it doesn't have to be financial, but believers are very sticky handed. They're not, don't share information with others. Just across the board with everything, like giving wise, like giving their time of service or paying attention to certain cause, like things that are very dear to Christianity or any type of believing project. There's a lot of people that are not like Christian. They believe the word of God and things like that, but they're not following that side of it. And I thought that would be interesting to get everybody's views to see what may be the cause, what may have changed as time is moving on. Why are people so tight-handed? Why most people are not, willing to give as we are urged to do so. We saw in a scripture where the woman, the old woman. I can't really say say the scripture or whatsoever, but we
The
saw
one, the lady with the widow's mite.
yes. Thank you. That gave her last to put it in, and she was used as an example. Why are we modern believers are there are people who are still giving, but why are we not so generous with our giving spirit? Is it because we just don't believe in that, or is it based on experience? And I just wanted to get everybody's point of view on this. So, who would like to start? Anna and Jimmy. You
Okay.
Jimmy can start.
No,
Or
prefer.
should
Anna,
I
go
start?
ahead. Go
Okay.
ahead. Ladies first.
Okay. I know you're a gentleman, so I know you're definitely not pretending.
Uh,
So can you read the question again? Why do most believers shy away from
giving general.
giving
Mhm.
generously as instructed by the scriptures? First, I don't think I know that we tend to say as Christians that we have to believe in giving what like the 10% that they ask you to give as tithes and offering and the rest.
Mhm.
They say these days things are very tough and tight, right? So
Mhm.
if you give everything, how are you guaranteed that tomorrow, you know, will be fruitful for you? And I think a lot of it is that, as Christians, we don't live 100% by faith, which is something that we need to learn and practice. But giving generously does not mean not thinking about the future, right? You can give generously, but also plan ahead for rainy days. I think Jimmy had mentioned the scripture in the Bible about the farming. I
Yeah.
don't remember. Yeah, there was a time about I'm on the phone. I think it was Joseph that had a dream about.
Yeah.
Yes, 1 second, please. I'm on the phone. Just give me a second, okay? That had a dream about farming in Egypt, I think, and he
Yeah.
told the chief or the king, and
He interpreted a dream.
Yeah.
exactly. So this just tells us in our today's life that sometimes we tend to look at the fact that giving generously means giving everything. It's not actually true. Giving generously means give with an open heart. Don't give hoping for something in the future, or giving so that someone should give you back. Give knowing that, okay, I have other plans, that if things go wrong, I have something for myself. So I'm not begging, but I'm also giving somebody that can appreciate or use whatever thing that you're giving them. Let's say, for example, in America, they do a lot of food pantries for people that are homeless, hungry, and the rest, right? They have places where, like thrift stores, where you can donate your clothes. They're not saying give everything away, but if you're not using it, take the little that you have to give. Someone else will use it valuably. That's another way of giving generously, because you're giving without expectations. That's how I interpret that. So that would be my introductory statement. So giving generously just applies to giving wholeheartedly without expecting any rewards, not necessarily giving everything in your pocket and forgetting tomorrow.
Right.
That's my 2 cents.
Thank you. Thank you. I agree. Let's hear from Jimmy, and I know I'm a.
All right. Anna, thank you very much for that beautiful intro. I think it was wise of me to allow you go in first, you know, because people who have knowledge and control over the topic, it's always good to give them the flow to set the basis. However, the topic tonight is a very interesting one, especially that tomorrow it is Sunday and people are supposed to be giving.
Mhm.
So it's good that we have that discussion so somebody will know whether or not they should give. Uh, Giving is one of the most emphasized um, duty of the church, especially in our contemporary church. And I believe the reason for that is because kingdom work depends on um, kingdom followers to support. And when kingdom people, which are we refer as God's children, when they are not supporting God's work, then it makes it difficult for the work of God to continue because God will not come down and rain manna in the church. He will use people who are called by his name, who he is sustaining every day, who he is providing for. He will use them to support his work on earth. In Exodus chapter 3, when the children of Israel were about to leave, God said to them, he said, ask the Egyptian for their gold and silver. He said, I will give you favor in their eyes, that whatever you ask them, they will give to you. What God was doing is that he was preparing them so that after they have left Egypt, they will be able to use those very resources to build his tabernacle. So if you go to Exodus chapter 15, 16, 17, even 20, 25, you will see that God commanded Moses to tell the children of Israel to give to his work, to give so that they will build the tabernacle, they could build the temple of God, the tent. Okay, that was the particular word for them to build a tent of worship to him. But then Leviticus talk about tithing and all of that. Leviticus, the book of Leviticus. Deuteronomy, yeah, talks a little bit about it. But then in the New Testament, Jesus did not speak much about tithing. In fact, he did not talk about tithing, he talked about giving. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this to say that every one of us who are Christian, we are obligated. It is our obligation to support the work of God. Those who are in the secular world, they support the secular things. You see? But we Christians today, many Christians have become so, iron hearted when it comes to giving to the work of God. But I don't blame them because I believe there are a few reasons that we're going to be discussing tonight.
Right.
Okay, so maybe in my next appearance, when my time comes, I will throw light on some of the reasons why most Christians are not giving today.
Right.
So I will stop there and you return back to the host.
All right. Thank you guys so much. I think you really touch on that because when I thought about it, when when I listened to that gentleman and I was like, oh, we should talk about this. I sat and thought about it myself and I started to reevaluate myself as too. Like, on a normal basis, I feel like I'm a giving person. But some of the reasons that I think we're going to discuss here tonight, I think over the years have really, pulled me back a little bit, if I'm being honest, pulled me back a little bit from being um from being the person that I am. I feel like I'm a very giving person, but like Jimmy was about to throw in there, there are certain things that have made, most people tight-handed. And I think some of it is a lot of us believers are trying to live to please the world, if I can put it in that way, right? We're trying to live this, extravagant life, and there's nothing wrong with it. I feel like if you work hard, you should enjoy your money. But if you're a believer, there are certain responsibility that God is holding you up to. And it's like, if you have it, why would somebody sleep hungry and you have it? If you have it, why would somebody not have the clothing or the resources? And I I really I really feel like God was very intentional in inspiring those who wrote the Bible, because you see a line in the Bible where he'll say charity begin from home, because it's like, if you're going to give out there in your church home, or your family and people that you love so dearly are struggling, then what does that say about you? But at the same time, you're urged to give and others as well. So, and I believe River Sister just put that in the conversation, but I just wanted to say the consumption rate of people, I would say, is probably some of the reason that they're tie-handed. Sometimes too is trust, and I think Anna hit that right on the nail, where people feel like, well, if I give you, and we see this around the holiday season, right? People will give, and accept, and expecting you to give them back. Like, oh, I bought her something and she can buy it for me. Or I give them something she didn't give to me. And I feel like that's the mindset that most people have. I remember someone within my family, which I'm not gonna put their name out there, but I remember they were in this church. They were in this church, and I heard the story about it, where they always give generously. Like, they will give more than 10%, especially they'll give their tithe, then they give their offering, and they will donate to the cost of the church. So I remember when something happened within the family, and they had reached out to the church, and at the time the church could not really, support. So I heard a statement like, "Oh, we give this amount, we give that, and then they can't do it for us." For me, I just feel like when you do that, that takes away from everything that you've actually given, because you did not give with your whole heart. You give with the intention of, one day I should get something back. And one thing I really like about my church that they do when we're about to give offering or tithe, I like the line that my pastor always says. He said, "This is not a charity, right? This is not a charity. You're not donating. You're not here to do this and X, Y, and Z. This is something you're doing because you believe in Jesus Christ, and that's something that you generally are doing from your heart, and you want to do that." So I really enjoy when he says that, because a lot of people believe that, and I give. This is it. And I also don't just want to limit giving to the church. I also believe, like, as Christian, you have some type of charity that you are supporting, even if it doesn't have to be an established charity. It could be, like family back home, people that don't have anything that you're supporting, anything for that matter that you're giving is just, it becomes more generous. And I feel like you're still fulfilling the will of God. So I'm gonna leave it there and see what you guys all say. But before we do that, I want us to look at what and just think about it. We don't have to respond to this yet, but I want us to think about it as we are like going around the table for the next, point to add. He said, "I think most people take advantage of believers' generosity. A lot of pastors and churches officials live luxurious life with other people donation," which I agree too, but you know. we will get to that. I'll go next.
Anna, are you there? Okay. If
Here's another one.
if Anna if Anna is not ready, I can go.
All right, go ahead, Jimmy.
You know, I I did a I did a whole month teaching on giving at my church. Um, and that teaching was really good. It resonated with the congregation because there are a lot of people who go to church, but they do not know why it is good to give to God and why what happens if we do not give to God. See, but anyway, we will not deviate from the topic.
You
Most
you can still add to it, or I would like to hear a little bit of that teaching if you can add it to this topic to help us. We're all I feel guilty sometimes that I'm like the way I
okay.
before I
Um.
do that.
Now, now, Fee. Let's talk about why people are not giving.
Okay.
No, I would say reason number one,
Mhm.
the lack of love for God. The lack of love for God. The Bible says that in the last day, men will be lovers of themselves. See? Now, in the Old Testament, God requires 10%. In the New Testament, that cap is removed.
Really?
So, yes, tithing is not mandated in the New Testament, but what is mandated is giving.
Right.
So that means, because what happened is 10%, most Christians hide under the canopy of 10% and give to God what they feel should be given to God.
Right.
And even the 10% that is required, we are not giving it as we should. Because if you now the real style of Christian giving is that you see how when you work, the federal, the government take off their tax
Mhm.
from your gross income.
Right.
Okay, that's where your 10% supposed to come from
Be-
as well.
Before taxes, right?
Yes,
Because that's your total earning.
yes.
Okay.
That's where the 10% supposed to come from. But most of the time, we take the 10% out of our net income,
Right.
which is still not bad. But even with that, we are not doing it, as we should. Because if your net is, let's say, if your net is 1,500 every 2 weeks, let's say those who are on 2 weeks, if your net is 1,500, on every 100 is a $10.
Mhm.
So if your net is 1,500, your tithe on that net is 150. Okay?
People are really proud. They went to spot egg is $10 now. I just like
So that's what the Old Testament require. But the New Testament say give. Hmm? Luke 6:38. Luke chapter 6, verse 38 says, give and it shall be given to you. Good measure, pressed down
Oh, first one is here.
and shaking. Eh?
Here, this black print.
Pressed down and shaking together, running over,
Oh,
shall men give unto your bosom.
mm,
You know, for with what measure you use, yet same measure will be given to you. So you
Brilliant.
see, that is the principle of the New Testament.
What?
All right. So, and the rationale there is that don't limit God to 10%. Because God is not static. God is dynamic. His ways of doing things is dynamic. It changes. All right. He did not, tithing is an old school. Okay. Now, in the new generation, in the New Testament, you say, okay, since people get too comfortable with the 10%, until soon they give that tithe and the thing is all to it. But there are other contribution also. If you read the book of Leviticus, it talks about making contribution. It talks about the offering, the
Ah,
tithe, the offering, and other contribution as we come to the church. And the
I have,
reason people,
sorry,
Anna,
Jane. I have a question for you.
okay.
Or should I wait when you're done? Then I ask.
I guess it depends. It's the way he's saying it.
Yeah,
yeah.
so I agree with the fact that um God is dynamic and not static, right? And a
Mm-hmm,
lot of Pentecostal churches do the whole tithing thing. I grew up Catholic. We don't really do tithing. You give what you have, right?
mm-hmm,
But it brings me back to the point where I've never seen any church where the pastor is giving to the members. I've never seen a church where the the pastors are saying that you're tithing or this is how much you gave for
mm-hmm,
tithes or whatever, but they preach and say, oh, if you don't give this, you're that. It's almost like an advertisement, right? So
mm-hmm,
now my question to you is,
mm-hmm.
at what point do we normalize the whole tithing and making it more universal, like give? Because to me, I would rather than give money to a church or to a church for tithing or whatever, I'll rather give to the homeless, give to people that truly need the money, like, or even to like clothing, feeding the hungry, clothing the homeless or the unsheltered, those kinds of things, right? Giving doesn't necessarily have to have monetary values on it. I don't know if that makes sense. And that brings me to the point where you were
Yeah,
talking about, the
yeah.
being God giving being God being dynamic and not static. Because a lot of
Yeah.
times churches place emphasis on the monetary values of things rather than looking at the good of others. Love your neighbor as yourself. Those kind of um, philosophies. So
Okay.
I just wanted to ask that question. At what point do we normalize that, you know, giving doesn't necessarily, or contributing or supporting a church don't always have to be about the monetary values that you bring in?
Okay.
Because if you
So
look at it really, maybe I should personalize it in your church. Does your
mhm.
pastor come and tell its members that, oh, I've given 10% of my tithes to the church? Instead, don't you always hear, oh, you guys should give, and the pastors are doing so well, and their members are getting poorer and poorer because they're
Okay.
giving all their money, they're giving the generously to the church, and the
Hmm.
pastor is not helping the members.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Great
You ask a
question.
very, very good question, and you make a very important input also. And this is why most people stop giving to the church because number one, okay, it, the reason people were commanded to give to the church, it was for the church to take care of the community.
Right. That's what I was just
You,
about to say.
you see,
You know?
the church was known as the nuclear of society, So people will give to the church, people will bring gifts to the church, and then the church will give to the community, people who needs it. Those who are in need, they will come to the church and the church will give to them. Okay? Now, when the church stopped doing these things, especially in our contemporary society, when the church is not giving
Uh-huh.
and and there are needed people in the church, then it weakens the members. Some of them who know some of those people and are giving alms personally to some of those people, and they are not telling them that the church has been doing this for me and that's why it weaken those kind of people to give. Okay. Now, when people used to give to the church was not keeping the church, they didn't have bank account that time. Okay, if you read the book of Acts, Acts chapter 2, um, where the ministry after the death of Jesus, where the disciple actually started planting churches. Those who had more were given to those who did not have, and they will come together. They will bring food. They will bring everything. Now there are three T's in giving. That is tithe, time, and talent. Those three things are needed in the church. Your tithe, which is what you gave, your money you gave, or your time. Okay, you know that 24-hour God has 2 hour 30 minutes in every day of our life. That's 10%. And your talents, those things you do in the church, your your usher, your praise and worshiper, your cleaner in the church. Those are the talents that people, those are services people give in the church. But the main thing that keeps and sustain the church is our financial donations, because this is where evangelism comes in. Now evangelism is expensive. Okay,
Right.
people, you have to give out to people. It's another form of evangelism. When the church is giving, to the community, to society, that's evangelism. And where does it come from? It comes from members giving. You see, so those are reasons why people, God commanded the people to give to the church.
Mm.
And you see, there were special offering that were for the priests or the Levites in the church. Those are the people who work and take care of the church, like the pastor, you know, um, other leaders in the church that should be taking pay. You know, that's where I call it, they get paid from. But when a pastor or a church dedicate an entire church finances to their personal life, supporting their lifestyle, living luxurious life, and while the poor members come to give to them every day. That's where even me, I got problem. I got problem with all kind of churches.
Right. We got a lot in the comment section. I don't know if you want us to start tearing them apart real quick as
Yeah,
we're
because I'm not sure. Anna, just before I go, I want to give Second Corinthians chapter 9 verse 7.
Mhm.
You know, it tells us how we should give as Christians. Second Corinthians 9 verse 7. It says each one must give as he has decided in his heart.
Right.
You see,
Exactly. Exactly.
so it did not say 10%. This is the New Testament. So you see,
So
in the
basically,
New,
10% does not apply to the New Testament. So are you saying it shouldn't be based, the giving to the church should not be based on the 10%?
if you give for 10%, it is still giving. But what this passage is saying is that you are not restricted to that 10%. You can give
Gotcha.
if if you make 1,500 and you decide to give 200, 300 as your or tithe or offering to the church. That is what it is saying. That's what you have decided in your heart to give.
Gotcha.
You
Okay.
see, so it is coming from a generous heart. It is not coming out of compulsion. Don't give out of compulsion. That somebody force you to give or somebody coerce you to give and all of that. No, out of your heart.
So let me, I have a quick question for you, Jimmy. Um, so if we're saying, right, we should
Mhm,
from our heart without the expectation of getting anything in return, right?
mhm,
And I'm giving from my heart. I feel like if I give $50 to the church as my tithe, even though it's not 10%, it's still a given and not expecting that. I think I shared on here that there was a church I went to where the members, I was visiting, but the members was being scored not giving 10%, and they knew who was not giving 10%. That person's name was mentioned, and I was like, "This is crazy." So my question to you is, if I'm giving generously, if I feel like in my heart, this is what I get and this is what I'm giving, and I'm not expecting anything, why is it a problem if it's not even 10%?
okay. Um. Then that takes us back to how do you call it? Luke. It takes us back to Luke 6:38. It said, "Give and it shall be given to you."
Right.
Okay, good measure, pressed down and shaken together and running over. You know, and then he went on to say, "For with the same measure that ye give, shall be given to you."
Right.
So you see, so that means, and this is where people misinterpret this scripture and start to say that, you know,
Um,
if you give $5, you get $5 blessing. You give $50, you get $50 blessing. It's a misinterpretation of the scripture. You
Thank you.
see,
Thank you.
what God is saying, or what Dr. Luke was saying, is that as he was inspired by God to write,
Hmm.
he said, "Give and it shall be given to you." The measurement of it is not in an amount, but
Right.
it's in the willingness of your heart.
Exactly.
because you can give $10 and God can bless you $100. With $100, because that $10 that you gave, it came from a heart that was pure and joyous.
And then you feel like, well, if I don't give
Thank
everybody,
you, Jimmy. Thank you.
right,
I wanted to hear that.
right. It's not like, oh, if I'm putting $1, yeah, if somebody else looking at me is wrong. What if that's the only $1 I have that I can give? You know?
Yes, that's what you have. That's what you have. You see, like in the scene, when the widow went to give,
Huh?
hmm? When the widow went to give, remember,
Okay.
Jesus said,
Hmm.
um, of all the people, he mentioned the rich. He said they came and gave out of their riches.
Okay.
You see, out of their abundance, they gave. So that means what Jesus was saying is that even though they have more, but they did not give what was required of them.
Right.
You see, but he said this widow have given more than those people who gave all out of their abundance, out of their abundance. He said she has given everything, all that
Right.
she has to live on.
I will. So for me, I have few causes that I take care of back home, right? And
Hmm.
it's almost like I have it as like a payroll thing that I do. I
Hmm.
kind of crazy. So every month I have certain things that I consider like, people that I take care of that I feel like, it's not much, but I have chosen within my heart, this is what I want to do. So for me, I feel like wouldn't that be as part of tightening and giving to Christ, right? That would be considered as part of giving, right?
Yes, it's part of giving because God requires giving.
Right.
He requires us to give, but also he requires us to support the
The,
kingdom.
yes, I agree
You
with that.
see, so as you are giving to people outside your family and friends, as you are helping them, God is still happy with that. But
Mhm.
God wants his kingdom to expand. And how does the kingdom expand? The kingdom expand when the resources are there. And when we become member of a church, or since we became Christian, we
Uh-huh.
pledge to support the work of God,
I agree.
either with time, talent, or tithes. You see,
Right. As part
our resources. We should not forsake the assembly.
of God.
You see, so you cannot say because you are helping, your brothers and your sisters out there. No, you are part of the church. Support the ministry. Support the ministry, and also give to the other people.
I'm not saying I'm not doing that. Hey, Riverside Pro, I'm post the link again. I'm not sure what's happening. Yeah, has been acting so crazy lately. Um, it looked like we lost Anna. But my question was, and then let's go back to the topic, right? Where it says, why
Yeah.
aren't
So
us
yeah, I just gave you one of the reasons why people are not giving. Number one, the lack of the love of God.
wait, before you go that route, right? I want us to look at what you just said, right? Going
Hmm.
back to the topic, right? How do we know? Because there's a statistic that, well, I don't have the number right now with me in my head because I saw it somewhere. But there's a belief that Christians are not really giving generously anymore. And I think the world has generous in a different lens, how it's supposed to look compared to, how Christians are giving. But my question is, how, so there are churches that have these ideas that the church need to be big, right? They
Uh,
have this. No, go to your dad. Go, go. Sorry, guys. He wants ice cream at this time.
mm, go to bed, my friend.
The churches or the leaders of the churches have this idea that they should have, they need to be built extravagance. It needs to be this. It needs to be set at this location, at this area. And if you look at you don't know what the members are going through, but the church, they have this vision how the church is supposed to look without most of the, sorry. Uh-oh, he said something wrong. Let me just inbox you, River Bro. um, without the members' consent, they just have this dream the church need to be this, need to be that. And this is forced on the members to support this cause that they didn't sign up for or they can't even afford, especially given the economy that we're in right now and the crises that are going on around the world, not just in the US, across the world, right? And people can't afford
Mhm.
to even pay for medication. They can't do it. But there's this big dream to maintain this church that they have this idea. Should that be the members' responsibility of the pastor's idea of that? And are they supposed to give generously to that when they're not set up for that?
Okay. The church. It's be afraid of any church that is run by the husband and the wife that makes the pastor. They are the pastor. They make the decision and everything. Run away from those kind of churches. Be part of a church that is holistic, that is diversified, that include other leaders in the church in decision making. Okay. If you are part of the church where they call church meeting to discuss church activities, church development and all of that, those are churches that we have some level of transparency, you know
Right.
because there's no development that goes on in the church without the resources of the church members, the tithe, the offering, that they pay. I
Mhm.
think it is good for them to know how it is used, what it is used for. That can serve as another means of motivation for them to keep giving. And but I mean, but when people are not seeing the tithe and offering that they are paying, they're not seeing where it is going, then
Right.
it is a problem. If a church is to open another branch
Mhm.
in another location, it should not be a unilateral decision by the pastor and his wife or just like that. You have to call a general meeting, call a church meeting. Look, um, we have a brother in this location. For example, if your church is in Maryland and you want to open a branch in Texas, you have to call a church meeting, let the congregation know, look, we have a brother in Texas who God is leading to establish a fellowship in Texas. How can we do it? How do we go about doing it? Okay. Are we going to rent a place? How much is the rent? Are we going to be is the resident pastor over there going to be on a stipend or something? How much are we going to be giving him? When the congregation knows how their money is being spent, you know, they become more courageous to give. But
Right.
when they are only giving, and the pastor and his wife are changing their cars every year, or every Sunday, they are changing their dresses. I call it their expensive dress code, the shoes and all of that. and the people don't know how their tithes and offering are being spent, you are not giving to the needed people in the church or in the community. You can't have, the church should have a group that is called welfare committee. The welfare committee is the one that look after those people who are in need. Like, for example, if somebody is sick in the church and they're not able to work, at least the welfare committee can say, okay, we're going to the sister house, or we're going to we're going to the brother house. You buy food item or whatsoever you can. The church can go there and empathize with that person, even give some financial assistance. Those are that's the work of the welfare committee. You
Okay.
see,
We have
and
here. He just joined. Go ahead and end your statement. Um, welcome to the
so let me stop there and give the floor to Deacon River says, bro.
All right, all right, Pastor Jimmy. How you doing, man?
good. How are you? Welcome to the
Yeah, yeah, my sympathy again, Fee. Sorry, I didn't even know. Yeah, I didn't know that the person used to be on there. I'm sorry for taking us back, but I didn't. You just said it. I'm like, I didn't know the person used to comment on the show. That. I mean, that make it even
Is that
more
why you came on the
sad.
show?
Oh man, it's look, my man. But anyway, hi guys. Giving is giving
Yeah,
is very, very important, for me. See, I'm not an overly religious person, even though I occasionally preach and does Bible study, but sometimes a lot of things happen in my a lot remember Jimmy way, a lot of things happen in my life, you know, a lot of things happen in my life, and a friend of mine, he and myself, we go back and forth. Like sometimes I think something just happen out of the ordinary. But when it comes to giving, I don't know. I don't know if it's a superstition or something, but I noticed that every time, guys, if I don't like offering, as simple as offering, like every time I notice, like when I don't give, a lot of things happen in my life. You know, like I mean, like I said, other people will say, well, those are just coincidence. But like all of a sudden, fee, my car that was running good, something will just happen. I don't know. It happens to me, and I noticed like even before I come to the United States, I was not a person that gave, But there are times that I remember there were times that at one point I started giving, and the way I came to the United States again, people would say, "Oh man, it was just thing," but it was mysterious because I remember like it was this whole program. We were like almost 20. We were like we were interviewed by the United Nations. We were like 20, 25 boys. All of a sudden, 24 name came up. Just me. Can you imagine that? Yes, feed that thing.
what
Everybody.
holds? Oh
Yeah, it
my.
was it's still on Guinea refugee camp. Everybody was saying, oh, blah, 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 blah. But then at one point, time came and I started praying, I started giving and anything. Like I said, it could be just, and then I look, God opened my way. And since I came to the United States, whenever, like I go to church and I don't, I have money and I don't give, something will happen. Something like car break or something. I would just spend crazy money, fee crazy money, guys. I'm telling you, like out of nowhere. So I look at the power of giving, and for me, I'm one of those people who, when I give, like the Bible said, don't give like the Pharisees, where they'll give and oh, well, I'm not like even when I give to charity, when I give the groups on Facebook and thing, I always tell them, please use me as anonymous. I don't want my name on that. I'm just that kind of person. People say no, I said no, 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 no. Please, I beg you. I just want to give like that. So giving is very important, but you know, with the topic there, a lot of times, I mean, giving generously is great, but a lot of time people shy away. Like I wrote in the comment, people have different reasons. I know Jimmy said, uh, where our time offering. I don't know. I was going to ask i- if it is our place to ask. You know, like let me just use the example on the street. Like I used to give, you know how those people stay in the streets corner. Like sometimes they say, "Hey, let me get $1." I used to give, but at one point I started thinking like, somebody said, "Well, you would be given to their habits. They would take your money and go do drugs and things." But then at one point, and then at one point I stopped. But then again, I was thinking like, what if there are person that really needed that money? What if like the guy will say, "Oh, I want to buy something to, I want to do," and they'll gonna say, "Oh, look, I don't have it. I don't have no change." But then I started judging myself. What if the right person asked me? What if this lady was standing in the street corner? What if she really needed the money to eat? What if I judge her as a drugs? So I don't know with what Jimmy said. If we as Christian, when we giving, like you get your offering, you should go behind it to find out as to whether it is being used in the community or is the, I don't know if we should do that, but I just gave. I gave. The Bible said,
I
"Do
didn't
good
say
if
that.
possible, and lay your wages a reward to God." So I
I
think,
didn't. I didn't say that.
yeah, I coming to me. I don't know if we should be FBI behind the money that we gave, but that it is so.
Mm-mm.
Man, that
I didn't say that.
Jimmy put $10 in the offering basket. He won't go check where what they did with that money. But look, I think that's just my own a big introduction. Joining this topic, giving is great. Giving generously is even far greater. I think people are just discouraged about like the way people saying, "Oh, where our money going?" And sometimes you will see the guy wearing senator suit and driving nice car, and you assume like, "Oh, that's where my church money going." So I think Fee, those are things that hold believers back now from giving generously, because sometimes it's about perception. It may not be true. It may be true. Maybe the man
Right.
already got his own money, but you think that you're offering money the man using. So I think those are some of the things that hold back believers forgiving about perception, assumption, things that you build up in your mind. Like I said, it could be true, it could not. I mean, it may be true, it may not be true. So, I mean, there are several other factors that hold people back from forgiving, but I think one of the things is just perception.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Okay, let me respond to something River said that I said that you when you gave that you must go check behind it to see. No, I did not say that. What
Okay.
I
What?
said
Mhm,
what I said here tonight was and still is that when there is no transparency in the church,
mhm,
when people are not seeing what the work that their tithes is doing, it discourages them from giving. And what I said, when I said that, what I meant is that when people are in the church, not everybody will have the will be what do I say? Okay, for example, there will be older people in the church who are not able to work, who
Right.
cannot work.
mhm.
Okay, those people, the welfare committee, through the welfare committee, should be able to at least the church should give arm to them
A full stand
because
check. Mhm.
I have a question for River Says Pro.
you know. But if those things are not happening and the church is not growing, the church is not growing,
Mhm.
you know, then what's happening to our money? Even if the pastor have his own money, later on, but because the people are not seeing growth and development in the church, but they are always giving, they would think that it is their money that the pastor and his wife are using,
So I have a quick question, real quick.
and and that discourage, that may discourage other people, how to call it, from giving.
Yeah,
That's what I said.
yeah. Let
Good.
me get a question, Anna
I
or
have a
Fee.
question. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
River says, "But I want to understand your when it comes to your definition of uh giving generously.
Mhm.
I want to
Giving,
understand
giving
if you were to
generously,
define giving generously, what does that mean to you?"
giving with your whole heart.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I understand it. Like don't have a second thought. Like, ooh, I wanted to do this, but what if? Just give with your whole heart. That's my
Thank you.
understanding of it. Yeah, okay,
Thank you.
you're
I just
welcome.
wanted to make sure I understand because we earlier you were saying, you never used to give when you were back home, and when you came here, you realize that when you give, you get a lot back and everything. I just wanted to understand what your idea of giving means, or giving generously means, because a lot of times I've been
Mhm.
to several different churches because I'm Catholic, like I mentioned earlier,
Yeah,
and we don't they don't put emphasis on giving offering or whatever like that. Everybody knows that when it's offering time, give what you have,
yep.
right? They
Mhm.
don't really come and say, oh, like I've seen churches build other churches or expand their churches, their members that are in like I mean this that people are really poor, and you see the members are giving everything that they have. Yeah, they're believing, but the church is getting a lot of money, building, you know. But it's just kind of serious, generous. Don't realize that giving generously don't necessarily, right. You give,
Mhm.
that's okay. You don't have to feel bad about giving. Giving generously is giving from your heart. Whatever you can afford should be what should be accepted. We have to learn to normalize judging people based off of what they're giving in church. Like I had a lady one time told somebody that she cannot believe this person makes this amount of money, but it's only giving like $5 in church. You don't know what the bills that that person has. You don't know the responsibilities of that person. But if it's between them and God. So I think that as Christians we have to realize that we have to learn to stop judging people. Secondly, we don't know what people are going through indoors,
Yeah,
so secretly.
yeah,
So if what is most important is your heart, the reason why
yeah,
you're giving it, the reason why you're feeling the way you're feeling. Move.
yeah,
Thank you so much.
yeah, yeah. Anna, let me say something quick, Anna. When I say give, for me, guys, it's not about how much. Like I will go to church and put 5 cents in the plate. I'm telling you guys, like seriously, that's how bad I was. Like I would go to, like it's not it's not what I put 50. Like I would go to church. I will have money.
Did you have the money and you did it on
Yes,
purpose?
exactly. I used to have the money in my pocket, but then I got it for something else. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Like, when it's like being mean, like seriously, like mean to God. That I would go to, when I came to the United States first, like sometimes I would have some money. I say, oh, uh, yeah, I would say, you know what? I gotta go do this. I gotta go. Yeah, for real. And I will come back home with that. I say, oh, next Sunday, and then something will happen. That late $10 or $5 or 50 or $20 for the point. My car, something will happen. I will have to spend over 500. I'm telling you, seriously. So yeah. So for me, it was not like I have I only got $50. I put 25. My own, like for me, I would just decide. You know what?
If
I'm
I
not putting it in
get
it. Yeah, so uh yeah, I think that was my thing. And even besides, it's not just in the church, like people, giving to people that are in need. Sometimes it gets frustrating, guys. I know we from the Liberian community, and I know Anna and too, people from back home, they calling you and thing. But look, sometimes, guys, let me say something. People, even when a person think they're smart, feed the fact. If somebody tell you, say, oh, I'm hungry, you send them money in Liberia, even though you got a second thought. That thank you, that person telling you, when the Bible says blessed to give than to receive, that thank you. When somebody tell you thank you, they say God bless you. even the intention, the fact, for me, I believe that utterance, that fact, they say, oh, thank you, God bless you. Even there are people in like, brother, I send them $20, $25, and they will just be texting me, oh, I never had this to eat, I never had this to eat, I never, thank God, God bless you. So that fact, that person profess that blessing upon you, that alone, people will say, oh, the person, yes, but you have to sometimes God answer those prayers. God, when somebody bless you, you don't overlook those things. It may not be you immediately, but sometimes those blessings can follow your children in school or other things. So that's how I believe, not just the church, but giving generously, as in general, as a whole, giving to the charity, giving to individual who need it. I look, guys. Let me, before I go, let me say, let me say before, before somebody coming, a friend of mine, he just, he had, I don't know what happened to his foot. I think that, I don't know if they caught it already. It was almost like that big sore on our boy foot. We knew each other in a refugee camp, and that's so, and a friend, he been texting, been calling me, but I said, man, this guy, the foot a scam. But I'm telling you, Fee, that guy, his foot now, I think is about to be amputated. So he called me. That a friend of mine came to visit me and said, "Oh, you hear from our man?" I said, "No." He said that guy, his foot is serious. We all in a refugee camp together. I said, "Really?" I said, "He been texting me, but I thought he just been scared." He said, "No, brother." He said, "Myself, I send money." So when he wanted, as soon we talk, like almost it was like a revelation. It didn't even, I think within this with few hours, he started, he texted me. So I told him, I said, "Oh, brother, what's going on?" He said, "Man, I've been calling you," and then, he explained a lot of things to me. And I said, "Okay, I will help you with what, I will help you with what I got." At that time, I gave it. I said, "Oh, God, at first I had a different, I was thinking differently. Yeah, the guy, you want to take my money to go enjoy, to go drink and this, that, because we all used to drink in the camp. But then, that
Okay.
alone, so I mean, I believe I gave to a great cause.
Uh,
Yeah.
Um, Absolutely. One thing I'm just sitting here thinking is, I know Anna asked, and I think we probably should have done that in the beginning. Like, what does generosity mean? Like, giving generously. Um, my definition that I have here said willingness to give, share, or contribute freely, often beyond what is expected without expecting any return or recognition, driven by a genuine desire to help others and foster well being. So, we're going to go to the comment section really quick and then we'll close. But I just wanted to add, I just feel like my whole thought process of giving generously, because when Riverside Pro talk about, giving people out there, right? Like on the street. I was one person. The moment I see somebody out there don't have it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'll go look for it and give it to them. I'll be like, hey, I don't have it. Or I'll tell you, I don't have money right now, but I'm going in the store. What do you need me to buy? I can buy it for you and then bring it to you. But I remember when a lady told me, go to the ATM over there. Since then, honestly, my whole mindset about that, like seeing homeless people out there, giving them money, I'm like, no. But I started to think to myself, if I don't feel moved, like I need to feel that, how you feel like, oh no, I can't go without giving this person something. Like I told myself, I have to feel that in order for me to give. And I think that's a really wrong way to do it, because when I came across this gentleman. I discussed this topic in another life, and I decided to do this when I was sitting and just reevaluating myself and thinking about, my actions and things I've been doing. I'm like, maybe that's not the right way to go about it, because
It is the right way to go about it because a lot of times, most of the people that, majority of the people that stand on the road and beg is a business. They don't beg because you and I know we've seen people that will stand there and beg. They're acting like they're dying the next minute. As soon as you give them money, they go back, use it for an addiction issue. They buy drugs, they buy things that they're not supposed to be doing.
right.
Sometimes you have to be moved to give people, and that's where it comes, because you can still give them, but you are not giving them with your whole heart. It defeats the purpose. If you're giving with your whole heart, it should be okay. If you're giving, something is moving you that, wow, this person really needs it. When you give it to them, God will see that you genuinely give them with a good heart.
Okay. All right.
But so how do you make that determination?
Right. I also thought about
What do you mean? Like,
If
what?
you are
How
not
do you
led to
think?
give, if you are not led to give to them, just leave it.
Exactly, because you're not giving them with your heart. You're
Okay,
just
what
giving them
leads me?
because you want to satisfy your personal, like, oh, I don't want to feel guilty. You're not giving them with your whole heart.
what if I feel bad, like looking
Wow.
at them, like, oh, I feel so bad.
Feeling bad is the empathy, right? Is that feeling
Yeah,
of seeing someone in need, which is okay. But when you're feeling bad because you're like, man, I just walked past this person, I should have given them something. Feeling guilty is wrong. You should not give
that's
somebody
guilt.
something
Yeah,
because you feel
Oh,
guilty. You should feel bad because you see their condition and it touches you in a sympathetic way to
okay.
to want to give. Right,
So,
Jimmy? Am I making sense?
a lot of sense.
um, but I was just thinking maybe go buy the stuff because I truly do want to give them, but I sometimes I'll ask. I said, "What do you need? Like what do you need? Do you need water? You need food?" There was a guy. He said, "Well, if you don't have money, it's fine. What do you have in your car?" I said, "Well, I have 2 bottles of water." He said that would help me a lot, and I give it to him. But I'm just thinking to myself, right? We're talking about generosity and all of that. And we talk about the church and everything, right?
Mhm.
Mm.
Is it different that in the church, why why not just give and not start thinking about, well, the pastor is taking my money to use it.
Exactly.
Give it
Let,
with
let,
heart and just say, you know what? I'm not doing it. I'm urged by God to pay my tithe and my offering. Why not do it from that space instead of, well, if I pay the tithe, he's gonna look at this, he's gonna look at that. Well, that's my money, they're using it. Why not like take that out of your head and just do it because you're a Christian? That is your responsibility of the faith. Why not? Why is it different? Anybody?
I didn't get that. I didn't get the question, bro.
So my question is, we talk about giving generously from the heart, and
Mm-hmm.
the whole discussion with, the pastor taking the money, they're living this way, living that way. Why not give from the space of, well, God, because I feel like if you're attending the church, you believe everything they're doing there, right? You can't
yeah.
just keep going to a church that you don't believe in, and you're deceiving yourself in your salvation. So if I'm gonna go to a church, I know that whatever they're teaching, all the doctrine and everything, I follow it and I believe it. But and at the same time, I'm sitting here as a hypocrite and saying, "Well, I don't know." If they're being honest with me, if I put my tire, what are they doing with it? How is it going? And X, Y, Z. Why don't we as believers take that out of our mind and just say, you know what? I am supposed to give as a Christian to the assembly of God to build it. Unless you're seeing the church carpet is torn and everything and it's not working, then you better start exiting that church, in my opinion. But if you see everything is in tight in the church, but the pastor still is living his life, and we know in the Western world everybody's working. Why we Christian in the Western world do believe that you're taking my money and using it? Why can't we just give without those expectations and thinking that is the money that they're using?
Jimmy, let Jimmy go. Then
Okay.
I will come in later.
See,
Uh-huh,
like, let's take for example in America,
uh-huh,
there are bills that comes on the church every month. The
right.
mortgage, electricity, equipment, etc. and etc.
Mhm,
That's what the tithe is used for the upkeep of the assembly of the house of God. Okay?
mhm,
If if it is uh like organizations like the Catholic Church, denomination like the Catholic Church, they do not depend on members' tithes, you know, because they have businesses, they have schools, they have university, they have other organizations that donate to them. So
right.
they do not fully, rest on the tithe of the church. In fact, The church, it is not a local church that pay the Catholic priest. It is the diocese, it is the diocese that pays, the priest. So whether that local church generate tithe or offering for the month, the priest still get paid. So that's but with other churches, you know, how they call it, independent churches, they depend on the tithe of the house to pay the bills and to give stipend to, maybe the pastor, or you need gas. Um, if they have other leaders that are, really active in the church, playing roles in the church, they need stipend. They depend on the tithe of the, and the offering for the upkeep of the church, you know. Um,
Yeah.
Now, giving, leaving the church and giving to the community or other people, it is called free will. Okay, it is
I
called.
understand my question though. My question is with what you just said. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I know
Mhm,
we're running behind right now with the time. So I just to like just focus on the question. The question was with what you just explained, right? And us saying
mhm.
people are not giving because they feel like the church is taking their money. Why not just keep that in mind that the upkeep of the church? Why not just give your tithe and your offering without thinking about all the other things like what you see instead of just saying, "Well, I'm not gonna do it anymore because I see them every day. They have bread."
Yeah, I,
Or,
I understand the question now. I understand the question now. See, and people will find excuse, when they do not want to do something, they look for excuse, and
right,
unfortunately, most churches give them that reason to to validate their excuses. Okay, but if you are a true believer and you believe in the work of God going forth, just give your tithe, and let it be between. Let your tithe speak for you, because God sees your heart, that you are giving to His work, and He will bless you because your heart is clear. I call it, you are generous with your giving. You see? So he sees your heart and rewards you. Now, whoever comes and corrupts it, that will be between they and God. And they will never go unpunished. They will never go unpunished. But our failure to not give because of XYZ excuses that we just mentioned, it may result to, God even punishing us, because in Malachi chapter 3, and even in Hagar, in the book of Hagar, chapter 1, the children of Israel, after God rescued them, they stopped everything. All their focus now were on themselves. And the temple that they were supposed to build was not being built. So you know what God did? I call it in verse 6.
they destroy everything.
In verse 6, God says, you have so much, but bring in little. You eat but do not have enough. You drink but you are not filled with drink. You clothe yourself but no one is warm. You see? And you have, and he who earns wages to put into a bag with holes. Those are the consequences of not giving to God, of not supporting the work of God.
Right.
He pour hole on our prices. Like River said, is saying, whenever you fail to put a tithe or offering, God pour hole on, how to call it, on his pocket. And sometimes
Yep.
the way it happened is that the new car that you just bought, it will just break down some kind of way,
Mm-hmm. True.
and you have to spend more than the tithe and offering that you're supposed to give
Thank you so much.
for
Let,
you to
let me
fix
let,
that car.
Thank you.
Yeah, fee for me, that's a great question. But for me, I think when we get, I mean, for my church guys, I'm in a Lutheran church. The Lutheran church, just like the Catholic, they are very, very established. So my church got a whole committee. They just put me in there recently. I don't like their long meeting. That's why I be running away. But yeah, they got a whole board members, guy. So like Jimmy was saying, we don't know. My church, they have weekly, like almost council. Yeah, they call it council meeting. They will tell you the roof need to be repaired. They outline everything. So when I'm paying my offering, I know exactly that it is there for the repair. Look, I think you guys know the old building, the big Cali and churches, these olden time churches here in America, those big churches, they hard to maintain. So we got to pay our heat, we got to pay electricity, we got to pay a lot of things. So when I'm paying my offering right away, I know where my offering is going. So I have no doubt. I don't even question it. And then
Right.
there's one thing when even me, guys, I'm not even a pastor. I'm just a layman. I couldn't believe the first time because the pastor told me, "Oh, I'm gonna start giving you some Sunday so you can, a little bit get through with the work." The first time I preached, guys, this white lady came over to me. She's the secretary. She said, "Oh, can I get your social security?" I said, "For what?" She said, "Oh, you're gonna get paid." I said, "What?" "Oh yeah, fee." I'm not gonna lie to you. Every yeah. So can you imagine? Yeah, I never, the guy. I don't want to swear, but I
Yeah,
never.
they
Yeah.
pay. That's why I
Yes.
was talking about the tithes for church, for pastors and stuff, because they get paid, but you never hear them say they give tithes.
Yeah, but
Right.
But they
Anna,
get paid. It's their income.
Do you
yeah,
know that?
yeah. So, some of them,
Do you know that the pastor is supposed to give tithe on behalf of the entire church? They call it the tithe of the tithes.
you're all right, Jimmy. Look, my man, go. No, and then I'm like, what? So she told me, yeah, she said it has been like that. That's the Lutheran way. When you preach, yeah, we're not gonna pay you equivalent to the pastor, but we always, so every Sunday, myself, I try to get more Sunday, but the pastor too, you want to give me more Sunday. So the pa- the pa- the I try to be greedy. I want 2 Sunday out of the 4, but the guy said no, be giving you the last Sunday. So yeah, so I already know where my offering is going, and I know how established, how well organized the church is. So, I have no doubt. But like Jimmy said, those small charismatic churches, especially in our Liberian community, and not just Liberian African, Ghanaian, Nigerian community. It's not just Liberian people that have that problem. The Nigerian, the Ghanaians, those smaller churches that don't have, they're not mainstream churches. They're not the Catholic, they're not the Lutheran, they're not the Baptist. They struggle. That's where those doubt come from. The next thing you see the pastor wearing wearing how they call that cloth, lace, the thing. You start thinking, exactly. The woman suit up like feet, got a big hair tie and stopping all the way to the roof. You're like, what? Look, the next thing you look, the woman starts shining. You said, but what, the woman who are dry like that. So yeah, I, I think those down mainly in those small churches, but like Jimmy said, look there, like the Catholic church, the Lutheran church, they are more organized. So I have not, since I've been in that church over like 6, 7 years, I've never came across anybody who even by gossip to say, wow, how the pastor dressed and thing. No, but I found that in the Liberian community a lot. That's why I don't even go to your Liberian churches here. They
There are
gossip and
churches that
complain.
pastors even have private jets here in America that I know. They have cars, they have
Yeah,
houses back home. They are
yeah,
sending their kids to good schools.
and
Yep,
they have poor members in our church.
true. Yeah, that's true, Anna. Yep, true.
You know,
So yeah, so I think
Opening different locations. I mean, it's really
yep,
sad.
true,
Really?
true.
So can we go to the comment section real quick, because I know a couple of people want to leave.
Yeah. First one we're gonna look at is real estate. So I know you're eminent here. I think we already discussed this, but Let's put it up. He said, when you Trump, we're eco-friendly. So he said, I think most people take advantage of believers get around a lot of pastors and churches luxurious life and with other people donation. Yeah, I mean, I think we already covered that. The Bible says it's better to give than to receive, so we might just be giving and we can't receive. What do you guys say about that one? Now, Liberian said giving is not a bad thing. Taking away from poor to eat chicken is problematic. I agree.
Eh, eh, Elaborate Eminem has come back.
He ran away. They all have to be not too soon. He like eating chicken business. Um, guy, he said, River says donations from you. He said, guys, my church has a pantry, kitchen, and clothes bin. That is so nice. People always show up during these times. We talk to them about tithing and that. I really, really, really like that because I think that's a way. I believe be that way. I really do believe every church should be the place for people to clothe and cover things like that. My people, yes, my boss
Yeah,
lady.
Listen,
yeah, guys,
uh,
I want you to chip in over there because that's the problem at my church. So we got food pantry, soup kitchen. You know, the pastor at one point he got mad. He said, "Oh, he told me, he said, well, why these people they come? You know, and then when we invite them to church, they don't come. And you know, so I said, but well, when Jesus fed the 5,000, he didn't expect anything. Then he said, no, before Jesus could even feed them, he started preaching. So that's so what you guys think, guys? For that
So
question, I want you to chip in.
I wanted to speak on that too. It frustrates my pastor. Oh, put the comment back up, please.
You
I'm
know,
reading the last part. It frustrates my pastor. He wants to have in church donations. He can't do that. So he's basically using his charity work to get members. That's wrong. It should salvation. You guys should continue to preach and let people come there to get their food or whatever they do. But in return, hope and pray that the evangelism touch them to be able to come back. You can't do that because you don't want to give your community food. You helping the poor is blessing your church. You
Yeah,
know.
but yeah, Anna, 1 second before Jimmy or Fee come in. So these same people. So what happened recently was okay. You know, they come to the church and explain problem, and sometimes we even, you know, I don't want to say all. Sometimes we help them, but so when we went for, you know, we do door to door ministry. There's one lady who always comes there crying this that. That woman shut the door in front of us. Can you imagine? Yes, I'm telling you. Shut the door. We went for our little daughter. She our little daughter, you know, to you know, for Bible study. The lady shut the door, and then when we turn our back, she was looking through the window. So what do you say, Anna? Don't you think a little bit justified about that?
It's justified, but again, you're human, right? You have the
Yeah.
right to feel that way because you're human. But again, let salvation be between the people and God. Like you can
yeah,
only do your part as a religious leader to try to
okay,
bring people closer to God and let God be the judge.
yeah.
Yes, God will know that you did your part
I
as
recall
far as
it.
evangelism
Okay,
is
oh,
concerned.
prophetess Anna. I
One
listen.
thing,
Go and bring
one
no.
thing,
Go and bring.
one thing
Go
you
and
do not want to do is that to make people to come to the church for food
wait. Priya is bringing knife.
or for the kind of
Mm-mm.
gifts. That means their intention is not to come to worship. Their intention is to come and get what they can get and go. The reason Jesus fed those people is not because he wanted them to follow him. It's because
Bring.
they have been with him and they were hungry. So he felt obligated to feed them. You see? So
Bring where's the fork for both of you.
it is a good ministry that the church is running. I call it the soup kitchen. and whatever other, ministry they are doing, you are still looking after God's children.
Right.
And God is blessing you, and God will bless the church for that. One day, some of those same people who are eating and not coming, God will convict them. I call it, listen, we are not the one that bring people to church.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I invite fee to come to church, I cannot drag fee to the church. It is the Holy Spirit that will convict fee to say, oh, I have to go to Jimmy Church today. Oh, he been giving me information, he been inviting me. I call it SYZ. You see? So the Bible said, do not get weary when doing good. You
Right.
see? Keep doing it. Let the church keep doing it. And God is blessing the church in so many ways, but you do not know that, because you are feeding his children, you are feeding people that come to the church. God is doing greater things in our church and in the life of the leaders and the members. If you stop it, if you stop it, you will soon realize that it was a bad idea that we stopped this thing,
Right.
because God is opening doors so that those food can keep coming. Yeah. Anyway, guys, let's have.
Yeah, true, Jimmy. That's a great point there.
Right.
The comment that someone made about contributing 10% on government taxes. I'm not sure where this angle is coming from, but I believe that every church has something they call a non-tax exempt. They don't pay
Yeah,
any taxes.
yeah. Not every church. You have to register for 501c3.
Right. Something real quick. I think he made that statement when Jimmy was talking about the 10%. Don't hear anymore.
Le- Guys, can I
I'm
ask a
looking for.
quick
This.
question? Can I ask a quick question regarding that? So, okay, my church, what they do at the end of the year, the taxes, what I mean, they always give. So, my first time, I never seen that before. So, they give you paper to file in taxes.
Yes.
Taxes on it. So, guys, I mean, what do you think? The people a lot of time, like the first time I said no, I'm not gonna do that. So, I mean, do you think it's good
Okay.
to file taxes on your offering or
Okay. The reason the church does that is because the church, when a church is a 501c3, it is registered. Every church that is registered in America, it is registered as a business. You see, as a business. The tithe and offering that we give, the government consider it as donation. So every year, the church is supposed to give account to filing, you know, how to call it, with those. So every year, if I pay my tithe at the end of the year, the church, you know, if I want to file with it, which I do not do, I can ask the church, and the church will give me what they call 1099. It is the name of that form that it gave at the end of the, how to call it, or at the end of the at the end of the fiscal year. It's called 1099. So if you want to file it, along with your W-2, you can do it, and you should get a return on it, because it will be reported as a donation to the church. You
okay.
see? Yes.
Yeah.
So other organizations that give to the church, they, like grant. If an organization, if they give a grant to the church, at the end of the year, the church have to send a 1099 to that organization, because they use it to file, to report to the government that we give this money to this organization. So
So
it is donation.
I want to answer River says pro. So River says pro. Jimmy, are you done?
Yeah, go ahead.
Personally, I don't. I never file for taxes with the documents I get back from giving to church. When I give to church, I know that that's an income or money that I'm giving to support the
It is,
growth of the
yeah,
church.
it is not
I
compulsory.
don't I don't use it. I don't take the tax stuff, and it has never affected my tax. I give it because I'm giving it to God. I'm not giving it because I want to use the money back. It defeats
Mm-hmm.
the purpose of giving to God if you're going to get the money back.
Right. I never filed them, but I'm like, no, it's not a donation. I'm just giving. So that's
Huh?
why I never file for it. I see it as a giving. If I file, I feel like I'm donating. So I just don't do it. And my church don't even give that anyways.
Yeah, if you ask for it, they will give it to you.
Yeah, my church don't. I've told them I don't want it.
My church does. They do it. It looks
Mm-hmm.
like every member. If you put your money in the envelopes that they give with your name on it,
Yep.
they
Yep.
track it. They track
Do that. I don't
how
write.
much you gave to the church a year.
Yeah, that's how my church lawyer, my church got numbers. Our is like I didn't even know the people so organized. They think almost like jailhouse. Everybody got their number on the envelope. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like it's their number. But so I used to be afraid. I said, but what if you don't file and then you know how when you don't file taxes, it come back. I mean, you guys don't think it will come back on us if we don't. If for
No, no,
example,
no,
okay,
no. It doesn't come back.
no,
It doesn't come back. The reason more organizations donate to the church is because they want to reduce their government taxes.
yeah,
They want to reduce our, yeah. If an organization is donating, they want to reduce their government taxes. And so at the end of the year they have to report which organization they gave
Expenses.
to.
The
Yeah,
expenses. Yeah.
so but for individual it is not compulsory.
okay, all right.
Yeah, it is not compulsory.
all right, that's time. Let's keep going. I forgot we read the other one where he says, yeah, I believe a lot of churches do give to, members in church. They just don't announce it. But it should be it's transparent. I think they should say it. Like, not saying like I give Sister Felicia there for her, but say, the church is here to assist and help those that are in need. So if you are in need, I I changed that. Some people are not on that.
Mm.
They're in need. So
I,
um,
I would call it like River says pro. If you file your tax and you owe, for example, you owe like $3,000 on your tax.
Mhm,
Okay, if you use your 1099 from your church, let's
mhm,
say you gave $1,000, to the church in the fiscal year.
mhm,
That 1099 will reduce your IRS, debt,
mhm.
yeah, to some amount, because you are telling them that how do you call it, you give donation to that or social organization, so it will reduce your debt, by that amount, or how do you call it, or how do you call it, how do you call it, how do you call it, or certain amount. So that's what uh, most people would use that.
Okay, but P, I know we're out of time, but I know you passed that other question, but sorry, let me just come back. So the one with the spiritual thing, the yeah, because now this is my I don't want to throw him under the bus because sometimes if you watch like my assistant pastor, because I go to this the Lutheran people send me to this to this thing where Bible.
Hey.
So he said, yeah, he said that every time he said every Monday So we were discussing about community other thing. He said every Monday, and this is an assistant pastor who he watching. So that's why I want to ask you guys: have you been in a situation where you give money to somebody and then you get, because it happens to us back home. Like even my cousin, he said anything. He said one time, I think he said he gave certain person money in Liberia. Since that time, calamity upon calamity started. And this guys, so I mean, do you guys believe in that? That when you give certain, to certain people or certain time, things happen.
I am very strong. I
Yeah,
believe that there's what we call witchcraft, right? Evil
Mhm.
spirits.
yeah,
In our African community, we strongly believe in witchcraft and the rest. When you know someone does not like you, genuinely, they will look for every opportunity to bring you down.
yeah,
So, um, a lot of time you have to continue to be prayerful. You also have to be smart, you know, street smart, of course. Don't give everybody things that it's just like how they say soul tie, right? Just like when you sleep with someone, you carry that person's mistakes with you and the rest, or whatever their sin is in bed, you carry with you. It's the same thing with money, clothes that you wear. As people's spirits are not always genuine, so you have to be watchful with whoever you give their stuff to. Superstition is real, to be honest. I know sometimes we think it's just being superstitious, but it's real. If it has never happened to you, you will never believe it. I, Personally, it hasn't happened to me, but I know people that I'm close to that it has happened to, and it's real. So be careful who you give your money to. Try not to touch things to people you don't trust. If you
yeah,
feel like you have to help somebody that you genuinely feel are envious of you, give them the money through a bank or something, or do a wireless transfer. Someone can't really use a wireless transfer money to bring you
Okay,
down. Don't
okay.
give your clothes to people that you know
Mm-hmm.
don't like you, because again, your spirit is in your spirit is still within those clothes, right?
yeah,
So you have to be careful about those things. They're real. The devil is very powerful. So you always want to make sure, as God's child, you're praying. You're also covering yourself, covering from the crown of your head to the sole of your feet. You want to continue to do that. But
Okay,
also while you're doing that, use God's wisdom to avoid those things, to not put you in positions where you're tempted. So
okay. All right.
yeah,
Okay.
but it's very real. It's true. And that's why we pray and cast and bind all evil spirits, because God knows that those things exist and they're real.
True.
yeah.
That's true. Mm.
I agree. I would say I have experienced it. I feel like I have experienced it. I am somebody where if I have it, even if it's my last, I have it, I'm just like, well, I'll get some money. you know. I remember this was last year, and my mom is probably one of the people that I really support a lot back home. And she always tells me this. She's like, "Oh, don't give people money directly, because any money you give me, because you fast every Wednesday and Friday, that's like a prayer time." And I remember she was telling me this. She's like, when you gave me money, anybody that I see, if I want to give them something, I go and buy it and give it to them, because I don't want to give them money. I know you work hard, and I don't want it to transfer through that. So I remember somebody back home, I told my little sister, "Oh, mom just being superstitious. Just give that person that money." When I tell you, I don't know how I was broke for a month. For a month, I was
Wow.
broke. And I called myself. She said, "Well, I guess the on my right."
Hmm.
I was broke, and it's not that I wasn't getting money coming in, but money was coming in. I just didn't know how it went.
Yeah.
Like it's like, what just happened? Why do I not have money? And it's like trying to pinch everywhere and get this and get that. So it's as real as daylight. I really do believe people have spirits, and their spirits do travel. and you really have to be careful. That's why, the saying, don't tell everybody your dreams and your goals. The enemy's ready to get on and use it every way to harm you. But you know what? I just believe like I am a special. God don't play about me. So whoever tries it, they always get
Yep.
a enemy.
True.
So just believe in God. But it is real. It's real. The book of Revelation tells us about all the evil spirits and demons and things that we're walking through. And for me, yes, I
So
truly believe.
because I was with my little psychology in my head my little psychology studies. I was trying to down. I told you, I said, you don't think it's more mental, like psychologically, you think Monday. So he tell me, say, man, you don't know what you say. I said, yeah, because I said, don't you think like you already got it in your mind, like a conditioning, that you
Yeah,
condition yourself to believe that, okay, when I give people money, Monday I will get broke. So then it kind of like work itself up. He said,
yeah.
man, I'm an African. He's a Sierra Leonean. He said, I'm an African. I know what I'm talking about. I said,
Yeah,
okay.
so it's true. He's right. But there's also something that plays with people's minds, right? There's something we call uh um 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 when you're mentally, when not, I don't want to use the word brainwash, but there's something we say, there's a word I'm looking for, that you believe, sometimes you believe what you start believing your own what's the word?
Superstition.
Yeah, not only superstition, but sometimes you can believe your own, like, your ideologies. Like, you know how sometimes you can speak something so much that you start believing it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, like there's a word that I'm trying to
Like
find.
hypnotized or something. I don't
Even hypnotizing is real. That one I know.
know.
Yeah, because it conditions your mind. They get to your unconscious
Yep.
conscious aspect. Yeah, so that one is real. But this one is basically you start believing things that you were saying to yourself. That's why they said the word of mouth, or the power of the tongue, is very strong. So you have to be careful what you say sometimes, because the earth and everything is holistic. They intertwine even with God's word. That's why
True.
sometimes we say ourselves and say it's a coincidence, but truly it could be also things that have happened within your life, that you're starting to foresee things that happen in your past, or in your mindset, displaying within you, and you're like, wow, this is something that's real. Whereas it could have been a coincidence, it could have just been the earth working against you. Like, you know how they say karma too.
Yeah.
Karma too. People say karma is real and God doesn't exist and all of that. I think all of them work together somehow. Yeah.
Because
So
my cousin says since the person he get it, because he went through a lot. He said for almost 3 years. But he said, that's what scared the devil out of me. He said the person that he gave the money to, once the person died, everything started getting better for him. I said,
yeah, it's
that's what he
true.
said though. Yeah, he
It's
told me
true.
that. I said,
Yeah.
wow. And, it was somebody in our family. He called a name. He said, I'm telling you, brother, I'm not gonna lie to you. He said, I
Yeah.
helped the person. Yeah, he said after the person died, he said that right now you see life things getting better with me. He said I would just,
Yes.
yeah, he said his own daughter just turned her back for no reason. He was losing jobs up and down.
Mm-hmm. I
Wow.
know there's also something they say that sometimes there's people bury like juju, and
Hmm.
then yeah, that one I know for a fact, because it has happened to a relative of mine. And then when the person died,
Fee is
the
two
family member
hours. It's
confessed.
2 hours 30 minutes now.
So triangles on people.
I'm gonna go sleep, Jimmy.
That's
No, we can end the show and go in the back room,
Yeah,
Amen.
it's
and
true.
continue the discussion,
Okay.
my man.
Yeah,
If the
yeah,
show
that
be
too.
too long, it will make the other people weak
I agree.
to watch it.
But yeah,
Okay, guys.
kind of overall, many Christians are not giving because one, trust issues. That's what I would say. What will be one other thing?
Mm. I would say, I would say superstitious, super,
Uh-huh.
especially for us African. Let me limit the superstition part to African superstition, and you right trust and some spiritual belief like we just explained too. Spiritual things that happen in your life that is beyond something that we can see physically, but spiritual implication.
I also
Okay,
think like
this
believing.
is what I will say to all of us here. When you are giving money to unfamiliar people, speak to it.
Mhm.
Yeah, speak to your money. Tell God why that I'm giving this money to this person. If they use it for anything that would turn against me, that way, dry my pocket or my wallet or my purse, let it go back to them, let it cancel. I mean, speak to the even your tithe that you gave to the church before you give your tithe, speak to your tithe,
Let your money work for you.
speak to
Yep,
your
true,
tithe.
true. That's true, Jimmy.
Yeah. Don't just give money to people that call it like that. Yeah.
Right.
I call it because even sometimes we go to church, I call it we be shaking, I call it we be shaking people's feet,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
That's scary.
and, and and we think our hands that we are shaking. No, we
You're right, Jimmy.
yeah.
they may walking upside down.
People are not fans anymore.
Oh,
Uh,
Jimmy.
since COVID. Mm-mm. But you know what? Now that you guys say that, right? Just to close, when we started doing this Bible trivia and giving money, right? Oh God. Before I decided for us to do that, this was a very long prayer and thought and all of that, and I was like, okay, let's do it. But I noticed something a little bit different about it, which I guess it's been too long. We'll talk about it another time. But with that being said, we're going to get everybody on the show. And some few changes in my life as of recent. I told our panelists and the host in the group chat, we will make that show now. For the time being, we're gonna go to 6:30 p.m. instead of 2 p.m. in the afternoon. I also noticed that people are not really getting the reason behind us doing the Bible trivia. We're getting a lot of calls, like random calls, like just say, "Oh, I called to answer a question for the money," and I'm like,
They
"That's
said, what
not
are you doing it again?
this coming Sunday."
No, I
I
said, that's the question to be asking. When you
Yeah,
doing it again? They want it every Sunday.
yeah, and I'm like, absolutely, that's not how it works. And then there was another person that inboxed me and said, I answered 5 questions, but I didn't get the money. And I said, can you tell me the questions you answered? And he was just in my inbox. Oh, I don't have a bank account, but this is what I have. Can you send it? Absolutely not. I told you guys where I'm going to send it. If you don't have it, find somebody else where it's going to go to. So just, we'll talk about that another time, but just wanted to
Okay.
tell you about it. But it is very interesting that people can turn something that is so good into something else. It's really weird. But that's not going to change the whole idea behind it because I know the reason and I prayed about it to do it. So, you know, but anyways, it was a really nice show. I enjoyed it and I learned a little bit. Now I got to go and undo certain things that I've been doing.
Yeah, myself, I learned from Anna and Jimmy, and so because when I was giving money first, I think I just close and thing, but now I gotta be careful. I gotta pray over those things.
Yes.
I know, yeah, I don't really give. I mean, I don't really give, but back,
Back home.
yeah, back home, you know how you sometimes you send your shoes, your old shoes here, your old clothes here, you send it to people back home. So It's important to pray over it too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right, you guys. That's pretty much it. This show ran a little bit longer. I thought it was gonna be a short something, but I guess we had a lot to say.
Oh
So,
yeah, it was good.
so thank you guys so much. Let us all keep praying, keep the faith. The world is not what it was. I think we're getting closer to the last days. So be prayerful, stay prayerful, hug your loved ones. Don't stay too mad long. You
Yep.
know, don't stay too mad long at anybody. Just, try to live your purpose. Do what you're meant to do on this earth and, live to everybody. Like we're urged. If they don't have peace, be in peace. No.
All right.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Professor Jimmy, Anna, our audience, Liberian Eminence, and anybody who will come across this, live your heart, and that means also when you're at church. Okay. All right. Thank you guys. Tomorrow we'll be here. Tomorrow topic I want us to talk about, I want us to think about it as we're going. Why is it so difficult to evangelize during this time? Like,
You're breaking up.
you guys hear me? I make it
Yeah.
close.
Yeah. You say why it's so difficult to evangelize in this modern era, whatever time.
As with everything at our disposal. Like why is it so
I'm not sure if I'm the only one that's having difficulties hearing, but
I can
hearing?
hear her.
Yeah.
what did she say?
No,
She
I
said,
said I want us to think about it. Having to reword it, but something along this line. Why is it difficult for Christians or just believers to
What are you gonna watch it? I didn't watch the poo.
everything?
Maybe it's my headphones. Riva says, "Pro, can you type it on the chat?"
yeah, let me ooh, when I tap it then I will.
Or you said,
He
because
said,
I hear you fine.
why is it difficult to evangelize in this time, in this in this roughly? Why is
Yeah.
it difficult to evangelize in this era? Back then in the
Oh,
Bible,
okay.
people could just pop up to people door prophet, but now he come to my door, I like him at door.
Are we supposed to talk about that right now, or is it?
No. I'm saying
No,
that's the topic
tomorrow
tomorrow.
topics.
Oh, that's a really good topic.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll
Oh,
remember that.
yeah, that's a great topic. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Jimmy. Sleep well.
Uh-huh.
All right, bye guys.
Bye.
Bye.